It's going to be different. I'm going to be doing like a series, I don't know, maybe 12 or 24, and we're going to start from the very scratch of everything. A lot of emails I've been getting has been, I'm interested in Wing Chun, but there's no Wing Chun school around my place. There's only like Taekwondo or karate or something like that. So just imagine this is the first day that you come to class. What we're going to work on is basically stance, and Robert's going to help me demonstrate exactly the basics of what to get started from the very scratch. Okay. So day one, the main thing to remember about the stance is it's everything. The stance is, you see a lot of people do the stance, copy the motion, but they really don't have the understanding of what the purpose of the stance is. And for now, let's just keep it simple and say that the stance, just the ability to control, to maintain, and the awareness of what your center is. Okay, and you develop that basically all through Yichikimima. So if day one happens, and let's assume this is day one, I'm going to basically tell Robert, first day, stance. There's basically 4 motions to open up the stance. What I want him to do is have his heels together, feet open, and stand perfectly straight. I'll mimic exactly what it is. So from here. So just right now, as a student, you just want to look at the student and have him actually know what relax is. And it's different because everything changes. From day one to 1 year from now, from 2 years now, your definition of what relax is very different from what you did in the very beginning. So the first motion is when he stands perfectly straight here in this, his heels are together, his feet are slightly apart, his hands are going down, and he's just standing straight like in a regular normal position, relax. When we say relax, you want to define exactly what relax is. Relax is a combination. If I'm like this is too relaxed. If I'm like this is too tight. You just want to find that in-between area as far as just the right amount of tension to hold yourself in that position. So here, how he's doing it is perfectly good. Obviously, he's been doing this for a while, but we'll try to make it like this is his first day. The first motion, excuse me, after holding straight is cross the arms. So he wants to go left over right, and then flip, and then pull back. Okay? Now, technically speaking, this is one motion. When you actually do this motion, it's one. But in the very beginning, when you practice it, there's nothing wrong with going 1, 2, 3, and just getting the motion involved. Now, let's see him do that. Cross, flip, pull back. The main thing that you really have to know about when you're doing this cross motion is, let's do that again, is when he crosses, notice his chest caves in from that. He actually has his chest naturally cave in. You don't have to force it where it looks awkward, but just let the natural motion feel where he caves in the chest from this point on. He's going to flip in and out, and then what he wants to do is maintain this chest caved in like this when he pulls back, like that. All too often what happens is people go here, cave in the chest, and pull back and then open it up. Okay. The reason you're basically caving the chest in is when you stand straight, like how you're standing straight like here, you're top heavy. And when you cave it in, you want to move the center down here to the dantian area. So right here, this first motion plays that role. Cross, flip, pull back. Okay. Now be careful. When you do that, you don't have to go 1, flip. Just one smooth motion of flip and then pull back like this. Let's try that again. Okay, a little bit better. Now also, when he pulls his hands back, notice another thing. When he rotates his hands back from here, he doesn't want to have his hands touching the sides here, okay? He wants to control it himself. Also, when he pulls his arms back, notice look at my shoulder, it actually moves forward from that point on, okay? So this one looks good. The next motion that you're going to see is a simple second motion, is he's going to bend the knees and tuck the hip in, okay? Tuck the hip in. Now, throughout all these 4 motions, try to keep this in mind. Imagine that he has a glass of water on his head. And your job is, each 4 motions, you don't want to go from one motion as far as spilling the water, regaining it back, spilling the water, regaining it back. So when he bends the knees and tucks in, the main thing he's doing is the L4, L5 in the back here in the spine, he's actually pushing out. You can't really see it from this position. But it's almost like, imagine if you're at the edge of a chair, you're going to sit at the edge of the chair, you'll feel the push-on from the L4, L5. Now you want to do that in, let's straighten up again, Robert. You want to do that in one motion. Don't go bend and then tuck in. You want to do that naturally, like you're sitting and bending when you tuck in. The bend should be just a small amount. You don't have to go naturally down to do that. You just have to go a little amount to bend, and then you'll tuck in automatically. Let's see that. Cross, okay, bend the knee, tuck in. And notice how when he bends the knees and tucks in, he's still maintaining his vertical position, okay? Now he wants to maintain that and hold that in the next position. The third motion is going to be open, okay? Let's open up. And notice he's open in this position. More often than not, if this is your first day, first week, or second week, most people can't open it this wide. Usually what happens is they'll be able to open like only a certain amount to open this. But this stretch is actually very important, and I'll tell you later on for the development of what this is for. But you definitely want to get to the point where you open up enough, okay? When you open it up, most common mistake when you open up is you stick the butt back out. You want to maintain the tuck in that you just did for the second motion, and then maintain it. See how I maintain it there. And then the fourth motion is he opens up, okay? Generally speaking, he should be shoulder width apart, like he is here. Now, it looks like he has his center, and this is the thing, you got to know exactly how to find your center by yourself after a while. In the beginning, your teacher has to help you as far as finding your center, but I'll show you ways to actually test it out as far as doing that. Now, I want you to, let's see how we do this. Let's have him open up, but let's go to the side again. Okay? He's going to do it from a side position. He's doing the first motion, second motion, bend and tuck, third motion, open, and fourth motion, here. Now, he's actually in place already. I want him to, more often than not, when you have this happen, usually the student is going to end up on his heel. Can you move back on your heel a little bit, like this? So, if the teacher tests out the chest, when I push against his chest, automatically you see that lock back right there. What he has to do is, even though it seems like he feels comfortable in the center, and it looks like I'm in the center too, imagine you're on an escalator, and a lot of times people misunderstand the purpose of the knees. They try to force the knees in, like pinch it in this way. And like, oh, well, the knees pinched in this way will protect my groin. It won't. Remember, the stance is solid but flexible, and yet you can be mobile with it. You're not basically digging yourself into that position when you do that stance. So what I want him to do is, just like he's pretending he's on an escalator, he's going to move in the direction of his toes, which are already pigeon-toed. And he's going to go in that direction slowly, okay? Let's do that one more time. Go back on your heel and see if you can see that. Watch how he moves at an angle downward and then goes forward. Down, 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 boom, right there. Now, imagine his goal is to what? Have his spine straight. So what I do is I have him pull up from the vertex, chin tucks down, and the L4, L5, he checks it again to make sure he's tucked in. And then if he's in center and I push against his chest, yeah, see? And what he should feel, now what exactly is that when I'm pushing against his chest? He should feel what? His toes are grabbing each time. Like if I told him right now, can you push hard on the ground with your toes? Yeah. You press hard. You can like almost like do a push-up with your toes when you're in the right position. But if he's to lean back a little bit, and he tries to press with his toes, he'll barely be able to touch it. You can even see right now that he's rocking in that position. So when you do that, that's the best test. Sometimes there's two ways to test it. You can either move back and forth slightly just to see the weight, just to have an idea. What does it feel like to be in the back of the heel? What does it feel like to go forward? And basically, once you're in center, where the weight's balanced, you can push really hard with your toes. Okay? That's the rooting part of the stance. You don't root all the time with the stance. Okay? What does that mean? In other words, only when the force is there do you root. If there's no force, you don't plant yourself in. You want to be able to move with the stance. Alright? Also, a lot of things that are misunderstood regarding the push. It looks like when I push, what someone's supposed to do. A common thing is, I'm pushing against your chest, you want to push to hold the stance. That's not the case. The structure is basically natural. He wants to hold it by himself. So whether I push it on his chest, forward or backward like this, his stance can hold. He's not here actually pushing against trying to hold it. He doesn't do anything. He's actually just standing naturally, and when I push against his chest, he feels the force and he feels it down to his feet. That's what he's doing when he holds the stance. Okay? Alright, let's face forward. And let's do it one more time and show you how. Okay, stand still. Do motion number 1. Cross. 2, bend the knees and tuck in. 3, open. And 4, spread open and full. Notice his feet actually has to be pigeon-toed. You want to make sure the motion is, the stance is held naturally. You don't want to force the pigeon toe in like this. Okay? If you force it in, the main thing always to remember in day one is Wing Chun doesn't lie. In other words, when you do a stance, when you do a punch, when you do a motion, everything feels good. When it doesn't, that's something's wrong. Okay? So right now, it looks good. I put chest test them a little off. You bend the knee a little. Good. Tuck in, see, stretch, and then push. That better, see? So you always, remember, once he finds that center, it doesn't mean he's always in center. It's kind of like driving a car. Let's say you're driving the car straight. Once it's going straight, you don't let go of the car. You still have to constantly control the car to make sure you're making minor adjustments to make sure you're following going straight on the road. Same thing with center. Once I put him in center and he feels okay here, it doesn't mean he lets go. You still have to constantly be aware of the center and maintain it. In time, you won't even have to think about it, but in the beginning, you have to be aware what it feels like to be in center. All right, that's good. All right, so hopefully these steps help you understand exactly what you're doing with the stance. When you want to practice this at home, you basically have to stand. And what do I mean like that? Well, I put Robert in his stance, and he found the center. Once he found the center, you can't just walk away. There's a period where you have to actually stand still and actually feel what it is. And the best thing I usually recommend is if you're watching TV, the best thing that I recommend is 5-10 minutes of watching TV. Stand in place instead of sitting your ass on the couch. Stand in place. After the first 5 minutes, if you feel yourself going like this, adjusting yourself up like this, you don't have the center. But if you find yourself standing in place, everything is feeling comfortable. 5 minutes go by, 10 minutes go by, 15 minutes go by, and you're feeling very comfortable and it's almost like a soothing stance, then you have your center. So it takes a while to actually feel what that feels like. And usually 5 to 15 minutes is a good way to stand. Back in the days when they taught the form, good